Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for Significant Sundays. My name is Vinny Borelli. Thank you for joining me. I hope you guys had a great weekend, great week, and we're significant in someone's lives. And I wanted to start out today with a bit of an audible. As you know, I like to stay authentic. So, to keep the authenticity of my talks, Monday is going to be a talk about psychological strength and what that is and what that means to you in business. But today the reason for my audible is it's one of those talks that Friday I went to, and not to get all dark and gloomy and sad, but this is in fact a good thing. It's a positive thing. I went to a funeral Friday for a childhood friend of mine, her mom or his mom, both brother and sister. Her name was Ermi. Dawn and Russ are two childhood friends of mine, and a good friend of mine happened to marry Dawn, Jason. So it was somewhat of a little bit of a reunion. And so at that, as we knew Ermi as, God rest her soul, as the Avon lady, it really brought back some childhood memories in being there. In fact, being at the same funeral home where all of us that grew up in the small town of Bloomfield, Pittsburgh's Little Italy, will be at some point. And my sister was there, so it's quite a touching little moment there. But it brought back some childhood memories. And so my audible today is going to be really to talk about that and touch on her life and how to be significant in others. So, it was she happened to be a dear friend of my mom's as well. And I haven't spoke to her in years. In fact, she was going through a lot of suffering that my mom had stayed in contact with me. But that being said, I knew she passed, and I got to say my farewell to her as she goes to heaven. But one of the things that stuck out with me knowing her in my life, and I got some chills right now because I strive and study, as a lot of you do, and do my due diligence and work hard to help others and inspire others, to touch others' lives. This woman, and some other people, like if you don't know my mom, some people are out there that can just do this. Ermi was one of those folks that could effortlessly touch you and make you feel happy. She had a true appreciation for life, and I aspire to be that person. And she really was one of those people that probably why her and my mother clicked, because they're almost like saints on earth. And so it brings me to this word. If you could see my whiteboard behind me, that I studied in a book from Kevin Hall. The book is called Aspire. But in that book, there's so many words that are brought up, and one of the words is Genshai, which is an ancient word. And Genshai means, by definition, if you could see, never treat anyone small or make that person feel small. So there's so many iterations of it, but it's just an ancient word, and it's pronounced Genshai. And so, I'd like to go a little bit deeper into that and what that means. What do you do daily to make people feel big and not small? Because women like her and others that are walking around, we don't run into them too often, unfortunately. It's sad to say, but what are you doing daily to make and touch other people so they feel big and not small? We all have our own agenda every day. We all look at social media and see all these things in just the media itself, just the news, and see stuff that doesn't really push us up, make us better, but it push you to enjoy life. It always focuses on the negative sides and not the positive. So, I aspire to be that person, to be a Gensha, to practice Gensha, if you will. And so to touch people and treat them big. And so my question to you is, what do you do in your life to practice that? You can't treat yourself small either. Otherwise, it won't work to treat other people big. So, going into it, and again, going full circle to the death of a beautiful person. It's not our clock that we're on. It's God's clock. So you can't say, well, I'll get to that. I'm working on that. I'm going to be a better person. A lot of people say it to me. I'm trying. I'm going to get there. Well, it's not our clock. You're not promised tomorrow, as I always say and repeat, probably a little bit more than I should. But, based on where I came from, you're not promised tomorrow. And I live my life a little bit differently. Maybe not as radically as I should at times. But in any event, nevertheless, it's still a fact. We're not promised tomorrow. We're on God's clock. So if you can inspire people, which I aspire to do, the difference, you want to inspire, but my aspirations are to be that person. That's another one of my notes up here. And have a true happiness for life, as she did. We, well, as children, would run into her, and we would just see, it was always an enjoyable moment. It was always a big smile. And it just felt some people like that just do that to you. Like, wow, she's always in a good mood, even if she was suffering, going through her own personal trials and tribulations behind the scenes. So, to people who knew her, and specifically her kids, it was truly an honor to know her. And, even though it's sad, she's in heaven, and unfortunately, a slight bit of suffering at the end, but in heaven. And it was truly an honor to know that woman. And again, I aspire to be more like the Ermies of the world, the saints that walk on earth, practicing Genshi, which again is never treat another person or make them feel small. But again, it has to start with you. You can't feel small in order to make that happen either. So, in closing, I want to keep it short as usual. Again, tomorrow night on Make It Happen Mondays, we're going to talk about psychological strength and what that is and how that can make your life change. But, please, please take that to heart. It was an honor to have known her, and I'm still glad that I'm friends with her family. And love you guys. I appreciate you logging in to listen in. But again, join me for Make It Happen Mondays, and enjoy life and be significant every day. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.